Atalanta of the Serie A 3-0. First time a team has put 3 goals past Bayer Leverkusen this season, and only the second game in which Xabi Alonso's men have failed to score this season. It all went Atalanta's way, and so too did the trophy. They are the team, the first team this season to beat Bayer Leverkusen, and so that unbeaten run of Xabi Alonso's men stops at 51, but they are among the longest unbeaten runs in Europe with that incredible run that they did have. Let's welcome in Jurgen Klinsmann and Gab Marcotti to talk more about this. So, Jurgen, it was Atalanta who brought the mighty Leverkusen to a standstill with a magnificent performance tonight.
Yeah, huge compliment to Atalanta Bergamo for this performance. I mean, they started the game with determination, with tempo, with speed, with a high level of aggression, and they never let Leverkusen into the game for the whole 90 minutes. They never let them back into the game, even if they had one chance in the first half, Leverkusen, to make something out of it. But it was a demonstration. It was a fantastic performance by Atalanta. Obviously, if you score in your Europa League final 3 goals, with Ademolo, Lookman, then this is something that nobody will take away from you anymore. This kid was very special tonight. 3 special goals. But Atalanta deserved it all over. They won all their one-on-one challenges. They were from the first second on telling Leverkusen it's not going to be your night. It's going to be our trophy. A very impressive performance by Atalanta. And I think a special compliment to Gasperini, their manager, who since 8 years built that team, built that club to a club that is now competitive in Europe. Very impressive results that he kind of delivered over the years now. And it's such a good feeling to have him now take his first trophy after all that hard work he's done over the last couple of years.
Gab, you were desperate to come on tonight to talk about the love for Gasperini, but particularly what we saw from Atalanta tonight. Just brilliant.
Oh, it was tremendous, and it was brave. I mean, we've seen this before, of course. I don't want to remind Stevie what happened when they went to Anfield in the quarterfinal, but I guess I just did. But to go into a final like this, and you decide that, hey, I'm going to change things around. I'm going to play 3 forwards: Lookman, Scamacca, and Charles de Ketelaere, plus my number 10, Koop Meiners. I'm just going to ask him to work harder, and that's how I'm going to go and do that. And on this night, Xabi Alonso kind of does the opposite. He decides, I'm going to get clever here. I'm not going to play Victor Boniface or Patrick Schick. In fact, I'm going to tell Adli that, you're going to be my center forward. I'll go with the little guys up front. And it backfired, and he didn't necessarily make the changes. I think this is one of the few situations where Xabi Alonso was out-coached, out-thought, and his team were out-fought in every area of the pitch. And, Atalanta were the Bayer Leverkusen tonight, the Bayer Leverkusen we've seen most of the season. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest compliments you can pay them.
How good were they, Stevie, Atalanta tonight?
They got every single thing absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. They completely and utterly smothered Leverkusen. And I think whether they'd started Boniface or not, they wouldn't have been able to handle it. The way they set up, the way they closed the ball early, they got the goals at perfect times as well. It was such a physical performance as well, and there's no question that was part of the reason they won this game. Allied to some good football, good little passing moves, and then taking your opportunities. I mean, they got everything right. He picked the right team. He picked the right tactics. Every single one of them turned up. There wasn't one player was an average performance. Every single one of them was at their best, which obviously you can turn around and say it was the complete opposite for Leverkusen. But the truth is, Leverkusen never got going because Atalanta never let them.
Well, let me go there, Ale, because you and I have followed Leverkusen all season in the Bundesliga. And so tonight, what did go wrong for them, in your opinion?
Well, a few things. And let me just start off by saying that this team was simply flat. And I mean flat. No energy, no urgency. A team that seemed to me physically drained, but more so mentally drained. The success and I think the stresses of Bundesliga and the fact that they were carrying this unbeaten streak all the way to the end of the Bundesliga season, and then they are able to do that and see it through against Augsburg. It was almost as if now they were allowed to breathe, but now you have to get going again because you have a cup final. And to the point of having a cup final, I know we've complimented Xabi Alonso and Leverkusen for depth and the strength of depth in this team. And the rotation has been a long part of that conversation. But this is a final. It's one game. It's a one-off. This is no longer about rotation. And at some point, you have to have your best 11. Who are my horses? Who is my number one team? If I need to win a game, which is the team and which is the 11 that is going to get me to that point? This game called for something different. And we have been very supportive of Xabi Alonso. And really, for the first time this season, I'll be critical of Xabi Alonso. I don't think he read this game to begin with. I don't think he read it well. Even ahead of the start of the game, I look at the starting lineup and I'm thinking, just like Gab mentioned, this is an Atalanta team that went to Anfield and went and pressed high at Anfield and forced turnovers high at Anfield. So you have to imagine that this would be the recipe for Gasperini and Atalanta. Leverkusen has to be able to bypass that pressure, or at the very least play out of that pressure. If you try to pass, you turn the ball in a bad area, guess what? You end up giving an opportunity and eventually giving up a goal. There's an opportunity for you, or a need for you, to bypass that pressure, play a little longer, and if you're going to play a little longer, you need hold-up play. And who's going to give you that hold-up play? Well, not Jeremy Frimpong, not Amin Nadli, because it's not what they do. They do other things, but they don't do that. So to the point that Stevie was making, that it doesn't matter if Boniface starts or not, well, I suppose, because my initial comment was that this team was flat, regardless. But I think it gives you a better opportunity to release some pressure, to take the possession into the middle third if you're able to bypass that pressure and play the ball into somebody who can actually hold it up. And now you can play your game of possession. And now you don't have turnovers from Shaka, you don't have turnovers from Palacio, from Tapsoba, and everybody else who had turnovers in the first half. That's where I think Xabi Alonso got it wrong.
Go on.
I can't help thinking that there's a reason why they went 51 games undefeated. Because they've done things their way. They've done things the way that Alonso has programmed the process in. And so I kind of feel as though he was following the process again. Now, whether he got it right playing Boniface or not, if you've gone 51 matches undefeated with your process, I don't think it's a surprise that even though this is a final, you go into the game and you try and play your process. It's just so happened they weren't at it and they ran into a team that was just superior for the whole 90 minutes.
Were you surprised with his starting 11, Jurgen? Xabi Alonso's?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, but I don't think it changes too much, because what really happened was that Atalanta started this game, and as Stevie can talk about that, we always tell the players to overpower the energy of your opponent. Win your one-against-one battles from the first minute on. If you win your battles, you win the game. And this was a typical game like that. Atalanta had a far higher kind of a level of aggressiveness, a higher energy level than Leverkusen from the first moment on. And then for Leverkusen, it was almost impossible to get back into the game, because they pressed them all over the field. They went one against one everywhere. There was, majority of the main marking situations basically throughout the field. They followed Wirtz, they followed all the other players, as soon as they couldn't turn around with their balls. And that was fantastic to watch. And Leverkusen simply could not turn over the switch and say, okay, now we're going to go back into the game and kind of match them energy-wise, match them aggressive-wise, and never had a chance in this game. And this is all because Atalanta didn't let them breathe from the first minute of the game.
And of course, standout from Ademola Lookman, getting 3 goals in this game and standing among the elite when it comes to hat-tricks in a major European final. Last player to do it, Jupp Heynckes with Gladbach back in the 74-75 season. You're seeing the names of Puskás and Di Stefano in there as well. In some very, very special company. Talk to us a little bit more about him, Gab, and his role at Atalanta and this achievement for him too.
Well, I think he represents something that Atalanta have done really, really well. So, it's a mixture of of players who it's a mixture of young players who they grow internally. It's a mixture of players who they spot at other clubs, maybe from second division, thinking of James Olley, who's just become such an important player for them, or who maybe are somewhat less heralded and who they build up. And other players with big reps who've been to bigger clubs and maybe come up short, like Charles de Ketelaere, of course, who was at Milan. And Lookman, I think, fits that category. He made his debut in the Premier League, scored very, very young for Everton. Looked to be very exciting. Him and Tom Davies, bringing back bad memories, I think, maybe for Toffees. Ended up going to Leipzig. They're like, yes, we got talent, we got to work with him. Didn't work out. Spent some time at Fulham, did well. Then he went to Leicester. They got relegated. And or maybe it was a year before, but he arrives at Atalanta, and he's the guy who gives you something different. Gasperini rotates so much of his squad, especially his frontmen, based on different situations. I was expecting him to come off the bench tonight. I was expecting the Ketelaere and Scamacca to start. And then he throws this curveball at him, and he's a live wire. And he'll beat you one-on-one. And he loves taking on defenders one-on-one in space. And we saw that with Tapsoba, and it was the right call.
Jurgen, how impressed were you with Lookman's performance tonight?
Yeah, it's just wonderful performance. Imagine that, you score 3 goals, but also the overall performance. There was, as Stevie said, there was no bad players in the Atalanta team. There was an incredible team performance from all of the players. But obviously, when you scored in 3 goals, you stand out. And what he wonderfully did is, he pressured the back line from Bayer Leverkusen non-stop. He was doing his work, defensive work. He was doing the work for the team. And then he was waiting and sniffing around for his moments when he maybe gets an opportunity. And the way he executed the first goal, coming from behind and surprising the Leverkusen the defensive line, was fantastic because he smelled it. And he just sprinted then in front of the right back and just put it in. The second goal, fantastic little move. Also there, he sees it, he has the vision, and he puts it into the far corner. Fantastic execution, but also incredible work rate. And this is the system of Gasperini. Gasperini tells all his players, listen, everybody has to do his job first, and then if you can have a special performance, we're more than happy to take it. But first of all, you do your work for the team, and that's what this kid did. Or the entire game, and that's why he deserves a very special compliment.
We focus on Lookman, and rightfully so. You score a hat-trick. We should focus on you and talk about you. If you look at the totality of the performance of Atalanta, I'll give honorable mention to a guy like Koop Meiners in the middle of midfield. And I'll just say, maybe he should have gotten a yellow card early in the game, but he didn't. But he's chasing around people, he's tackling people, he's getting on people's faces, he's getting in the face of Florian Wirtz and say, I know you like to dance on the ball, I don't care, I'm going to get after you. This is not going to be easy for you. It's not going to be easy for you in the 5th minute. It's not going to be easy for you in the 95th minute. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be around all over the place. I'm going to tackle. And I think that was the mindset of not only Koop Meiners, but Atalanta as a whole. So, yes, I agree wholeheartedly with everybody that the level of aggression by Atalanta was far superior from Bayer Leverkusen. What I would say about Leverkusen is, in my initial comment, they were flat. They had no aggression. No aggression whatsoever. Surprise, in fact, blank stares in the players' faces that they were being challenged physically, that they were being challenged into their faces, that you're going to get close to me, you're going to foul me, and I'm going to get frustrated, and there's no reaction. When there's no reaction from a team that is the champion of Bundesliga, that has been unbeaten for as long as they have, it's not because they can't be aggressive, it's not because they don't have urgency, it's because I don't think they had it in them today. Mentally, I don't think this team was quite where it needed to be. Physically, you look at players that couldn't quite cover the distance. And when mentally you're drained, physically you can't respond. And it was very clear to see that this team was second best in every aspect of the game.
Yeah, and obviously we know